All right. We're going to jump back in the Bible to the book of Isaiah. Chapter 14 is where we're just about to get started when I bailed out on y'all. Chapter 14, this is Isaiah is a difficult time in the Bible for the world, and especially for Israel. Chapter 14 is kind of a continuation of some of the stuff we've been through before, and now it's as we talked in 13. I don't know if y'all remember, but we talked about the burden of Babylon, and rather the judgment on Babylon. Babylon was one of the first of several nations on which the judgment of God was to fall. Babylon was not a nice place. All of the nations judged all had something to do with Israel. No matter what's going on in Israel, we always have to remember God said Israel is his chosen people. That's his place. And we need to be aware of that when confronted with things about Israel. Before we speak our mind, we need to understand what God's mind is there. These people that were being judged, they either had a physical proximity or political investment or something to do. Now, also there in 14, there are a lot of issues at stake. The origin kind of evil and its judgment and final removal from the earth, and some of these things come up in this section. There's a lot of stuff that you'll see in the book of Isaiah that refers to end time things. Local situations in nations at this time are the expressions of people who have worldwide themes, and they don't have eternal issues at mind. They have external issues at mind. This chapter looks at nations and the problems of life through the telescope rather than under a microscope. This is just kind of a bigger picture of things that were going on in the world, and some of them weren't very good. It opens on a pretty joyful note because of the final judgment of Babylon's coming, and the millennial kingdom's established, and all forces and dangers are removed, and no enemy of God is really abroad at this time. It talks about the judgment here and elsewhere in this book of Israel, of Isaiah for Israel is explained pretty well in this. We will see here God's plan and purpose, for the earth through this chapter. This chapter is a mix of light and darkness, and this chapter changes from the ecstasy of the kingdom to the punishments of hell and Satan and the problems that's going to be brought before us. There's an extended section on the final destruction of Babylon. There ain't nothing good about Babylon that you can read it here. This place is pretty much doomed. This chapter is of great subjects and strong contrasts, and and talks about the burdens of Palestine, which is probably brought about by the sudden demise of King Ahaz. And so there's just an awful lot of stuff that we're going to see in this book. Just know that this was a great time of turmoil. So let's look at verse 1, chapter 14. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will still choose Israel and settle them in their own land. Strangers will be joined with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. So here we're reaching down to the end times, where God has said time and time again that Israel will be restored, that he's going to restore that land. Okay? Now we haven't seen any of it today, but when it happens, Israel will have absolutely no trouble from anyone. They won't need the Russians to help them. They won't need the United States to help them. They won't need the United Nations to help them. Jesus is going to reign in that nation when that time comes. Now, some say that this right here, this verse is not exactly a literal word on this. That, that Jesus is going to come back and restore and settle them on their own land. A lot of people, they don't want to believe that. But Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1, I think 4 verse. Anyway, it says that for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. So he's bringing it back, all right? There's no doubt about this. And this is said too many times, and it can't mean anything else. Some people don't want to believe this. They think that Israel's on its way out, but the Bible absolutely says, no, that's not the deal, okay? So let's look at verse 2. Then people will take them and bring them into their place, and the house of Israel will possess them for servants and maids in the land of the Lord, and they will take them captive, whose captives they were, and rule over their oppressors. Okay. Now, none of this has happened yet again. The people that he's talking about here, these taken captive people, are Gentiles. That's us, if you don't know that, okay? And they're going to be returning to Palestine. It is Gentiles that are hindering Israel. The Jews and those people are not hindering any of this stuff that's going on with Israel. They're not causing Israel any trouble. It's the Gentile word that's hindering Israel. We're going to pay for it. People are either bothering Israel, or they're against Israel, or they just don't care about Israel. And I'm going to tell you, all three of those things do not make God happy, whichever one it is. You just can't ride the fence on this deal. You got to kind of make a choice about where you're going to be in this time. But the people that are going to get took back, it's going to be a Gentile people. That's who's we like I said, we either doing something against them, or we just don't care, mostly. And so God's not happy with any of that. Verse number 3. It shall come to pass in the day the Lord gives you rest from your sorrow and from your fear and the hard bondage in which you were made to serve. There's a lot of sorrow in the land today, in Israel. There's a lot of sorrow. Those people, they live in fear. Whenever you see pictures of Israel, now, there's a lot of these churches that are doing things in Israel, and the pictures they show you of Israel are pretty mild in a lot of ways. But if you really see what is really Israel, there are soldiers, armed soldiers, walking up and down almost every street in Israel right now. Why are they doing that? Are they at war? No, they're not at war. They are scared to death over there of invasion and things happening, all right? So there's soldiers everywhere. These people live in complete fear. Yet, even though there's all of that going on, and this is what it's talking about, the Lord, it come to pass in the day the Lord gives you rest from your sorrow. See, that's their sorrow, it's their fear. And the Lord said he's going to give them rest in this, okay? And there will be no more sorrow for Israel, because Israel's going to have absolutely everything they ever needed to have in that day. Verse number 4. That you will take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how the oppressor has ceased, the golden city ceased. Babylon is the great enemy of the last days, and it's all centered there in Babylon, and that all of this everything that goes out against Israel. Babylon actually represents all of Israel's enemies. Babylon, from the very first that you can see about Babylon, has been against Israel from the very first. In other words, Babylon ain't never heard nothing God had to say. And what this is telling us is that they will pay a price, and how the oppressor has ceased. Well, what does that mean? It means they're going to be done away with, okay? It doesn't mean it's going to hurt them. It means he's going to do away with them. And the golden city ceased. And see, that was supposed to deal. Babylon was supposed to be a big deal. They're supposed to be a golden city. You know, everything happens good and powerful and all of those things. And God says that that will be ceased also. In verse 5 and 6, the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers. Final judgments that's going to be happening at the end of the Great Tribulation. There's a judgment coming on all this, just like it's coming for us, okay? And the earth is going to be judged. It's going to be judged, one, I think, because there's far too much injustice going around in the world today. And this thing is going to be, this ain't going to be about the United Nations. This ain't going to be about anybody's president or anybody's king or anybody's czar or anything like that. God himself is going to judge this deal, you know, a righteous judge. And so somebody's going to pay the price in it somewhere, because as we know, in every judgment we ever see God make, God don't play, you know. So this Israel deal, it's so far away from us, we don't much worry about it. About the only time you hear about Israel today in America, really, it's usually on Sunday morning or late at night when some churches want to pray and raise money for them. Honestly, that's about what we hear. It ain't headlined in the newspapers nowhere. It ain't on CNN, you know. So all I can tell you is that at the very least, we ought to pray, just pray for Israel in our prayers and pray God's will, you know, and not be, because it kind of got me thinking, I need to do everything I can. If I can't be a help, I need to make sure I'm not a hindrance. I need to make sure that I'm not just, that I just don't care, you know, that I need to have some care and concern about this place. And if for nothing else, it's because God has care and concern there, you know. And his love goes there, so it's something that I need to be concerned about. So that's kind of got what I got for tonight. I didn't want to hit it way too big, hard, and everything on this first night back. But that's kind of where we are. That's kind of where we're headed in this. We're going to see what's going on with Israel. We're going to see what happens to Babylon. And, you know, that God, he's not playing in any of these things. There's again, there's a lot of end times type stuff that's going to be revealed to us here in the book of Isaiah, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I hope what it does is it kind of sets our thinking more broad, you know, than we can, because we as a people generally can get wrapped up in our world, and we can get pretty small-minded. But this whole world and what God has to do is so much bigger than that. The things he wants us concerned about is so much bigger than that I think we're going to have to take a little look, pay a little attention to it. I mean, you know, even if your prayer is just, God, I pray for Israel, and I pray for you to have your will. If you just do that, you've done more than a lot of people are doing, you know? So probably might behoove me to try to find out more about what's going on over there, but I don't want to just be a bystander. Kind of like everything else in life. You got to pick a dog in the fight somewhere. So anyway, that's kind of what we got. Hey, you guys online, thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be glad to help you with anything we can. Y'all come and see us on Sunday mornings, 10:30. Come and see us on Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. Have supper with us. and join us for Bible study and prayer meeting. So good to see y'all again. Even though I can't see you, it's good to be back on Wednesday nights. I appreciate y'all very much. God bless you, and we'll holler at you later.